All right, so we are going to be listening to our Chopin pieces. Remember, he's less concerned with form and more about expression. And part of what he's expressing is this idea of the supernatural, these ideas of bending and breaking the rules and being very passionate, right? So that's what the Romantics are about. Okay, so we're going to start with a revolutionary etude in C minor. Okay, so notice it is going to be an ABA form. Etude is kind of like the word study, right? We can kind of see that etude in French means like a study piece. So think about, while we're listening to this, not only all the things we talked about with romantic music, but think about what is Chopin as a teacher trying to get his students to study? What would the result of learning this piece give a young piano student? Okay. So a couple things to make sure we're still thinking about is that, so we kind of heard that ABA, there was kind of a kind of a happier middle section, and then the A section came back, but it was different, right? And the reading discussed how that works with Chopin. So let's talk about some, so I think there's a way to slow this down. Yep. So we're going to slow this down quite a bit. And I want you to look, let's see, is this super fast or super slow? Good, looks super slow. All right. I want you to watch this left hand and see when we have all the half steps moving from one to the next. That's the melodic. Do you see how the basis of this kind of winding left hand, that's probably a little too slow because it just sounds really distorted. So let's do this one. Notice it goes down and then usually up by half step, up by half step. So the very idea of this left hand line is very chromatic, right? Because we have all these half steps. I hope you can see all those half steps. Obviously a lot of half steps there. Now look at this left hand line. All of these half steps. And then here we actually have what is called a chromatic scale, which means that we're playing every note on the piano. We're not skipping any, right? Under normal circumstances, we would have skipped a few notes. But here, you can see even in the visualization, they're very close. So that's what we mean by melodic chromaticism. And then we've already talked about harmonic chromaticism, where we're using all kinds of different chords, half step, that are related by half step, to kind of give us, to bend the harmonic rules. Okay? All right. So that is the revolutionary etude. Next, we're going to be doing the nocturne. Okay, so the Chopin nocturne, this is an example of the Chopin style. So when we're hearing this music, what we're hearing is we have some left-hand chords that are giving the harmony, and the harmony is going to be slightly chromatic. A nocturne implies something at night, so it's a bit more calm. And what we're going to hear is that the left hand is providing this nice harmonic accompaniment, almost like an orchestra would, and then the right hand is very free and flowing and has rubato and is very expressive and uses a lot of again, it's this idea of it feeling improvised, right? Here we go. So the piece is a great example of a blending of classic form and structure with romantic sentiment. And again, when we say romantic, we don't mean love. It's just that idea of expressing, being expressive, and doing and bending and breaking the rules a bit. So I'm gonna just pick a couple spots and we'll go through again and analyze this a bit. So the piece begins, this could be a classical piece of music. We kind of start in a key and we remain there for most of the piece. But then we get some added elements of romantic music. So I'll try to point those out to you. All right, let's get back to full screen. So this is pretty much, this could be a late classical piece for the most part. Even that little bit of chromaticism could have happened. Now it starts to change. Starting to add a little bit more. Aha! Now, after that little right hand lick, now we know we're definitely in the romantic because of all those little half step grace notes. Da 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 da. Right? That's very much romantic. That you wouldn't necessarily hear that in the classic. Some trills. That's pretty much the same. Now we're kind of going into a second section. Again, sounds very classical. But soon we'll get some more romantic things. Now that should stick out to you as something that probably would not have occurred in the classic period. And if it doesn't, that's okay. But so I want you to, first of all, we're gonna slow this down a little bit when we get there. So if this were a classical piece of music, that cadence would have gone da 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 chord, and that would have been it, the end. But since this is a romantic piece of music, that's not quite good enough. And so let's slow this a bit down. What I want you to look for is look at the bottom note of the left hand. It's going to move down by half step, and all of these different, you can kind of see how the chords, even in the visualization, kind of do this, where everything's kind of spreading out and away by half step. Let's listen. So that is just the simplest way I can explain that is, it would be like, instead of going directly home from school, you stop by Horsetooth, or you take the long way around. You take this, what sometimes we call the scenic route, right? You take the nice, you could just go on 25 and be on the highway, or you could go a different way and kind of go through the forest and kind of experience some different things. And I think that's basically what the Romantics are trying to do. Could he have ended it very simply? Yes, of course. But where's the fun in that? And then finally we get to the cadence. So it was delayed with all these extra chromatic chords. Okay. I hope that is kind of clear. And then we get toward the end, we get some really chromatic stuff. And I just wanted to note the virtuosity, remember that word virtuoso, we have basically the piano playing about 4 different parts. So we have this high part here, we have like a bass. You'll notice sometimes the piano will go down to these bass notes, and then there's like all of the chords. So it's like 3 or 4 different voices all happening, and the piano can do all this because of the way it's constructed. So, and this is very difficult to do this left hand because the distance is so great that you can't really feel it. You have to actually look. And so it requires your brain to be doing about 3 different things at once. And then we get something that's some of the most chromatic music you'll find. Yeah, so again, trying to show off, trying to, evoke different emotions and things. That's what this is all about. Okay, so that's the end of our Chopin pieces. There's one more, just it's not on your listening list, but we will listen to. I think you'll like it. All right, so probably the most melodically chromatic piece of music that's common. Here we go. All right, so that's what half steps sound like. Okay, that's our melodic chromaticism. All right, so let's get out our listening list. All right, so we had talked about chromaticism a little bit. So we have the revolutionary etude. Revolution. Oh. Revolutionary etude. We said it was ABA. It's an etude, which means a study piece. What did we determine that it was trying to work? Left hand strength, agility, and again, we always say this, we're going to use this word a lot, chromaticism, playing half steps. Okay. Good. And we have the nocturne. So this is the Chopin style and sound. Okay, and so we have the, again, classical blending with romantic. We get chromatic harmonies and melodies. All right. We'll see you next time. Thank you.